Hello everyone. Myself Sanat Kumar Swai, Assistant Professor at Vedang Technology. Hope you are all doing well. And in today's class, we'll be discussing about the types of groups, various types of groups in the organizational behavior, in particularly in the organizational settings. Okay. So in the previous classes also we have discussed about groups. What is the definition of group? What is the concept of group? How a group behavior affects in an organizational setting. So today we'll be discussing about various types of groups. Okay, what are the types of groups in an organizational setting? Okay, so we'll go through a few slides and we'll see different types of groups. Okay, right. So first, introduction to groups. Okay, so what do you mean by groups? What exactly is a group? So in a layman term, if you say the definition of groups, maybe like when people they come together and they work for a common interest, okay, a common goal, okay, they work towards a common goal. Okay, so if you see here the definition, like groups are a collection of individuals, okay, who interact and work towards a common goal. So if there is a common goal, okay, let's say in a particular company, there are a lot of people or a lot of employees who are working and they are working for a common goal. Okay, so that can be term as a group. Okay, maybe in an educational institution or maybe a company, maybe a factory. Okay, anything, maybe whatever. Okay, so if they are working for a common goal, okay, the goal is same, then we can we can call them as a group. Okay, now what is the importance of group in organization? Okay, so why do we need to understand the group? Because understanding groups helps in better organizational management. Okay, we need to understand that when we are functioning in as an organization, okay, the proper management, okay, when the management of that particular organization, okay, and also the employee engagement. Definitely in an organization there will be a lot of employee, okay, and to engage those employee to work in a particular way, okay, or in a desired way, okay, and properly manage those organization, we need to understand that groups. Okay, that is very much essential. Now if you are what is the focus, like how, what types of groups and why is it relevant? So if you are looking particularly at the Indian perspective, okay, Indian workplaces, that means Indian companies, okay, Indian institutions, okay. So what happens is that what kind of focus we are going to put is that, for example, in the Indian scenario, you will see that there are a lot of family owned businesses in the Indian context. Okay, apart from that, there are also multinationals, okay, and also government institutions. Okay, so we'll be looking at these kinds of institutions, these kinds of companies, okay, where group is important. Okay, these are the organizations which we will be looking at. Okay, so next slide. The first one is formal group. Now, what do you understand by formal group? See, every group is a structured group. Okay, but if there is a specific goal, okay, every group, maybe a shared goal, maybe a common goal. Okay, so whatever, if there is a specific group and it is a structured group which are being created by any organization or any company or any institution, then that can be termed as a formal group. Okay, for example, if you see few example, like departments in large organization like Tata Group or Infosys, okay, they have different groups. For example, HR group, finance group, okay, marketing group, sales group, okay. So these are the groups, particularly in the department sector. Now, project teams, okay. If you look at the project teams, like there are a lot of IT companies who are working in, who are operating in India, like TCS, Infosys, okay, um, Accenture, a lot of IT companies are there. Okay, Wipro. So they have certain projects. Okay, so those projects, to execute those projects, they have certain teams. Okay, so those teams can be termed as a project team. So that can also be termed as the formal group. Okay, now that formal groups are crucial in Indian corporates for accountability. See, what do you mean by accountability? They have to take certain accountability when they are working for a team, when they are working as a project. Okay, certain accountability has to be given to those particular team, which are known as the formal groups. Okay. Next is resource allocation and achieving the strategic goal. So whatever the goals is, whatever uh, uh, um, the company or the project goals of that particular company maybe, but to achieve those goals, to achieve that strategic goals, okay, there has to be certain accountability, there has to be certain resource allocation for that particular team. Okay, so that is why we have to understand the formal groups, and formal groups are essential in any organization, right? Next, informal groups. So those were structured groups, formal groups were structured groups. Now informal groups are, those are the groups which are formed naturally, okay, based on personal relationship, or sometimes we see that there are interests which, I mean, like-mindedness, okay, and we tend to form a group, okay. So those are informal, I mean, there is not structured, there is no structures in that informal groups, okay. Now for example, a lot of groups are there, okay. WhatsApp groups, we have a lot of WhatsApp groups these days, okay. Those are casual groups, okay. So sometimes we need to communicate with our friends, with our colleagues, okay. So whatever. So those can be termed as a informal group, okay. So for example, like tea break groups in offices where employees discuss work or personal matters. Sometimes you see, even though they are colleagues, even though they are part of a team, still they discuss personal matters, okay, within the company, within the institution. So what happens is that they form a group, okay, they form a tea break group, okay, and there are a lot of social media groups are also there. For example, WhatsApp groups are there, a lot of LinkedIn groups are also there, okay, for professionals. Sometimes it is professional. LinkedIn is a professional group, okay, social media group, and WhatsApp, Facebook, and there are a lot of other media, social media groups are there. So what happens that there is a casual communication. You do a casual communication with that, with your colleagues, with your friends in those particular groups. So those are all the informal groups. Okay. Now, uh, what happens in the informal group? Okay. So informal group foster camaraderie and offer emotional support, okay, creating a sense of belonging among employees. So what happens if we have an informal group? Sometimes you see there is a staff association, okay. If you're working in a particular um, organization, okay, there are a lot of associations, okay. So what happens that there's a we feeling, there's a sense of camaraderie, okay. Emotional support has been given, that yes, we are a part of the team, okay. A sense of belonging also happens, okay. So that is why informal groups are important for any organization, okay, right. Next, command group. Now what do you mean by command group? Groups, this is also is a structure, I mean, this is also a structured groups, okay. So what happens is that with formal information organizational structure with a clear leader, I mean, what do you mean by a clear leader? In the command group, there has to be a leader. In a formal or informal group, there may not be a leader. Okay, there may or may not be, but most likely it is not. It doesn't require to be a leader. But particularly in the command group, there has to be a leader. Okay, who's going to command? Okay, so what happens that it is a formal, structured group with a leader. Okay, now what happens? For example, sales team, marketing team. Okay. A lot of other social media team, okay. So what happens is that these teams, okay, in various kinds of companies like FMCGs, like Hindustan Lever, okay. So what happens is there is a hierarchy, okay. There's a hierarchy of uh, you can say people who work in that particular organization. There's a hierarchy of working in hierarchical way, okay. So there's a chain, okay, that the command has to come through this source, okay. It's not like in informal groups, the command can come from anywhere, but There's no hierarchy whatsoever. Okay, but in the command group, in these particular organizations, you will see that there's a chain of command. Okay, and the command has to come from this particular persons. Okay, so what happened exactly in the Indian scenario? If you see that command groups ensure efficient task execution, so somebody is essential in this particular groups. What happens that somebody takes the responsibility that the task is being executed in the most efficient way. So there has to be a leader. Okay, and moreover, clear communication and adherence to company policies. It's not like when there's a project. Okay, let's say you are working for IT company or any FMCG company, and you are working on a project, right? So that particular project, it's not like in the as in the informal groups. Okay, what happens that you work at, you do communication, you are free to do whatever you want. But in the command groups, there has to be strict adherence to the company policies. You cannot work on your own, right? There has to be, the company policy has to be taken into consideration all the time. Okay, and there has to be certain execution policies, how you are going to execute that project. Okay, provided there will be a clear communication. Communication has to come from your leader or your immediate manager, okay, or the line manager whatsoever. Okay, so that is the way the command group functions. Okay, in any organization, we are looking at the Indian perspective, right? Okay, task group. Now, what do you mean by task group? Task. The very term task means work, any job. Okay, so what happens if there is a particular job or particular project which needs to be executed? Okay, so what happens, we need to form temporary groups. Okay, so those temporary groups are being formed to accomplish certain tasks, certain projects which is time bound. Okay, what do you mean by project? Well, task can be anything. We can call as this as a project as well. Okay, so what exactly is a project? What is the difference between project and task? See, project is time bound. Anything, any task which is time bound becomes a project. Okay, there's a starting time and there's a end time. So you have to, this is the start and this is the end. Okay, end of the project. So you have to execute the project within these time. Okay, so that is why it is known as project. Okay, now for example, if we look at this kind of group like temporary groups, these are not permanent groups, these are temporary groups. Okay, so even committees are being formed, groups are being formed, particularly in organizations where there is a celebration. Okay, Independence Day has been celebrated, or any other functions have been celebrated, or maybe you can say any company's founding day has been celebrated. Okay, any national event has been celebrated. So what happens, a committee has been constituted. Okay, and they have been given the task. A temporary group is also been constituted. Okay, so what happens, that is known as the task group. They have been given a specific task to accomplish that particular task. Okay, now why is it important? Okay, task groups in India are common in managing short-term projects. You see, these are the short-term projects. Okay, any event which has been planned in any companies. Okay, so those are short-term projects. Those are not long-term projects. Okay, just for a day or a couple of days, maybe whatever. Okay, so what happened that in these kinds of task group, short-term projects, various cultural events are being accomplished, or various company initiatives are being taken into consideration. So these are basically, task groups are basically the temporary group. Okay, not permanent group. Okay, which are they are being undertaken for a particular specific task. Okay, specific job or specific project, we can say. Okay, are you all getting what I mean, what I'm saying? If you have any doubt, you can just jot down your doubts in the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to clear off your doubts. Okay, don't hesitate. Whatever doubt you have, you can please jot down your doubts. Okay, in the comment section. Right, now comes the interest group. The very term interest means shared interest. You see these days, like there are a lot of yoga groups are being created. Okay, maybe you can say people they do cycling. Okay, there are like what you can call mm, environmentalist. Okay, so you see there are a lot of groups, you can say, which um, aligns with your interest. Okay, so the groups which are being formed by the employee, see here we are not looking at the individual or a common person, we are looking at the company point of view, for institutional point of view, organizational point of view. So definitely we'll be looking at the employees, the persons who are working for that particular organization. Okay, so within an organization, if you see that there are people who are employees who have shared interest, who have a common goal. People they love to plant trees. Okay, there are people who love to do yoga. There are people who love to do different other, I mean, jobs which are um, apart from their regular job. That's like extraordinary they want to do. Okay, they want to plant trees. They want to, I mean, in the spare time they want to do something. Um, I mean, hiking group or cycling group or a lot of other things. Okay, so those are the shared interests. Okay, there are like-minded people who love to do or they like to, uh, I mean, correlate and they like to mingle with that with the employees. Okay, they want to create a interest group. Okay, so what happens if you're looking at the organizational point of view, you see there are like employee welfare groups. Okay, there are employee welfare groups or there are sports groups, sports club. Okay, what happened, what is employee welfare groups? So the employee welfare group, they advocate that we need more better condition, working condition, we need more better salary. Okay, we need more growth in our job prospects, whatever. So those are all related to the welfare. Welfare of what? Welfare of the employees. Okay, apart from that there are also sports clubs are there, sports groups are also there. Okay, like-minded, as I already said, maybe cycling, maybe yoga, maybe environmental. Okay, whatever. Okay, cleanliness. Okay, cricket. Okay, so those are also related as can be termed as a interest groups. Okay, now in the Indian perspective, if you see, how does this kind of interest groups are going to help in the organizational setting? Okay, so they help in the networking. Okay, definitely when the groups come together, definitely it helps in the networking. Okay, networking is one of the most effective way of creating a huge network and which can help the organization in the specified way. Okay, next is improving work-life balance. Okay, definitely if you have an interest, you see that you are not alone, and sometimes that reduces the workload or of the of your at the workplace. Okay, and it creates a balance, creates the balance between the work-life balance. Okay, apart from that, it also enhance employee satisfaction, that yes, I'm also a part of the group, I'm also part of the interest group, which brings me immense satisfaction. Okay, while doing my work in that particular organization. Okay, so that is why interest groups are extremely important in any organization. Okay, next, friendship group. Okay, this is a very common friendship group, like the very word states friendship. I mean, what is it? Social relationship. When we uh, have relationship on the social platform, then we can term it as a friendship groups. Okay, so what happens is that how do we create these kinds of friendship groups? Well, in the Indian perspective, if you see Indian perspective, like friends in the same in the office. Okay, so what happens when you are working in any organization? You will see that sometimes it does happen that uh, a colleague or an employee from the same locality or from the same city, okay, or maybe from your same area where you belong to, okay, they tend to work in that place. So what happens that uh, friendships happen, okay, or you may see that same culture, same language, okay, maybe Odia, okay, when you're working in a particular geographical location and maybe Bangalore, and let's say is fellow employee is also from the same city where you belong to. Okay, so what happens? There is a friendship which looms up. Okay, so why is it important? What happens exactly in the friendship group? So in a friendship group, it improves employee morale. Okay, definitely it improves the morale of the employee. That yes, somebody from my native, somebody from my similar culture where I belong to, or he or she is from the same locality where I belong to, same city from where I belong to. So that boosts up your morale. Okay. Apart from that, it also encourages informal mentoring. Okay. It also encourages informal mentoring in that particular organization and foster a positive work environment. Okay. It also foster a positive work environment. That definitely you will be positive in working in that particular organization. Okay, in that environment, right? So definitely that is why friendship groups are also uh, extremely important to understand in the organizational behavior. Okay, right. Now reference group. What do you mean by reference group? The very word reference. What does it mean? See, reference means we want to uh, join something. Okay, we want to be a part of that. Okay, um, association of engineer. There are professional association bodies. There are a lot of bodies we can say. Okay, where we would like to be a part of that organization, of that group. Okay, so what happens? Why do you want to be a part of that group? Because that's going to provide motivation, standards, professional networks for career advancement. Sometimes, see, there are lot of associations. Okay, so being a professional, we would like to join the professional groups so that that's going to enhance our growth. That is going to enhance our network. Okay, so a reference group, like for example, groups that individual look up to and aspire to join and or emulate. Right. For example, like CII. CII means Confederation of Indian Industry. So Indian industry, there's a confederation. I mean, there's a association of the Indian industry. So what happens that a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, they would like to be a part of this CIA. So that is going to build up and boost up their uh, expectation, the company expectation or the industry's expectation. Apart from that, you see ISB alumni network. What do you mean by ISB? ISB Indian School of Business. Okay, so this is an alumni network. Okay, it's not about only ISB. Okay, it's like Indian School of Business. Okay, maybe we may have like Vedang alumni network, right? Vedang alumni network. A lot of students have already been passed from this institution, and they have been placed at very good roles in different parts of the country. Okay, so what happens? Like when you are a fresher, definitely you would like to join the alumni network of this particular college, right? So what happens in that case? Definitely that is going to give a boost up, that is going to motivate you. Yes, there are a lot of, a very strong alumni network has been operating in for Vedang Institute, VIT, right? So that is going to enhance your professional network. It's going to enhance, or that is going to provide motivation. Okay, so those are known as the reference group. Okay, next. Now, what is the benefit of this kind of group dynamics in Indian organization? Why do we need to understand this groupism? Okay, so you see, uh, first is better problem solving. Okay, what do you mean by better problem solving? See, if you are looking at the Indian perspective, okay, so India is a multicultural country. Okay, and you'll see um, the culture. I mean, there's a variety of culture operating in Indian perspective. So in the Indian workplace particularly, you will see that there's a diverse workforce, there's a diverse perspective. Okay, so it becomes easier, okay, to solve any kind of problem, if any. Okay, so that is why the group dynamics is important to solve the problems, if anything, any. Okay, next is increased innovation. What do you mean by increased innovation? See, when you collaborate, okay, or when you collaborate with any kind of group, so that gives a boost up to create very different innovative ideas, different innovations comes into play. Okay, and that is important for different industries. Innovation is definitely important, particularly in the IT sector and also the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, so that is why group dynamics is also important. And the third one is enhanced morale. Okay, it also enhances the morale when there is a social bonding, when there is a groupism. So what happens? There is uh, a bonding of commitment and loyalty. Okay, so that those are the benefits of the group dynamics in the Indian context. Okay, right. Now, what are the challenges? What are the challenges of the group dynamics in Indian context? Okay, so if you are looking at the Indian context particularly, what happens is that these are the three challenges, like group thinking. Group thinking means, see, there is a hierarchical setting. Okay, so sometimes there's a risk of conforming, means it's not always easier to the group dynamics in the Indian context, as because we function in a hierarchical setting. Okay, secondly, intergroup conflict happens. There's a difference which differences arises between various kinds of different departments within the company. Okay, and that also creates a problem, that also creates an issue, functionality issue, we can say. Okay, for example, there may be problems within the sales or the operation. There may be a difference between the sales and the marketing. There will be a difference between a operational and the HR, whatever. Okay, between different teams, there can be group conflict happens. So this is also one of the challenge in the group dynamics. Right. Next is dependency on informal group. Okay, means what does it mean? Sometimes it does happen that we over we tend towards various kinds of informal group, like over reliance on friendship. Sometimes we rely more on the friendships. Okay, so what happens is that creates a biasness, biased decisions are being taken. That may, I'm not saying that will be, but sometimes it does happen that it creates biasness in the institution. Okay, so sometimes it also creates like favoritism, like, yes, though a person or though a colleague is hardworking, but as because the person doesn't, I mean, I don't like that person particularly. So what happens? That may create to a favoritism. I means the authority of that organization. So these are the challenges of group dynamics. Okay, right. So with this, we have come to the end of the slides. So if we conclude, so what is the summary? I mean, what exactly is a group dynamics, or the group different types of group, and why is it important? Because you see, understanding, if you go to the summary, understanding different types of groups here enhance productivity, motivation, and teamwork. So definitely you will see that any organization, you will see that different types of groups, if there is a different types of, and more importantly, healthy group. I'm not saying unhealthy group, because a lot of organization, you will see that those are unhealthy groups operating in that organization. So that creates a very much difficulty in functioning of the organization. But if that's a healthy group, then definitely that is going to enhance the productivity. It's definitely going to create motivation and various kinds of teamwork. Okay. And if we are looking at the Indian organizations, okay, so what happens? Indian organizations, because it's the multicultural organizations in India. So what happens, that helps this group dynamics to create a collaborative effort, okay, and innovative, and it also helps to create a supportive work environment in any organization. Okay, so thank you very much. This is the end of the slide. Okay, so if you have any doubt, please jot down your doubts, and I will be more than happy to clear off your doubts. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Have a good day.